A very good evening to you all. I thank the Center for Inner Resources Development North America for giving me this opportunity to participate in the Global Convention on Mental Harmony, the Universal Message, and to share my thoughts and experiences with you. Thousands of years ago, the Bhagavad Gita gave us the universal message of mental harmony. At the very outset, of course, I start off with a caveat. I don't claim any special scholarship on the Bhagavad Gita. I was introduced to Bhagavad Gita at a very young age. I had spent a part of my childhood in a small subdivisional town, Mount Abu, a hill station. There was a monk in Mount Abu. He was immensely popular amongst the people and particularly the children. The monk used to conduct Bhagavad Gita classes for children. Many of the children I knew joined the classes. And I also joined the classes, mainly because some of my friends did. At the Bhagavad Gita classes, we were made to recite verses from the Bhagavad Gita. We managed to learn some of the verses by heart. And I often used to recite some of the verses, rattle the verses off before my parents to impress them. Particularly my dad, who made it a point to read a chapter from the Bhagavad Gita every day when he sat down to pray. In the Bhagavad Gita classes, the meaning of the verses was also explained to us. But to be very honest, I was too young then to understand the philosophy, the significance of the Bhagavad Gita. All that I knew was that a battle had taken place between the unethical Kauravas and the righteous Pandavas. Lord Krishna supported the Pandavas and he drove the chariot of Arjun. He drove the chariot amidst the armies. Conches were blown by the respective warriors. Seeing lined up his own relatives, teachers, Arjun was overcome with emotion. What use was a war if it resulted in the death of his own relatives, own teachers? At this point, he was reprimanded by Lord Krishna for his failing courage. Lord Krishna goaded him on to fight. I learned that Krishna liked children who were courageous, children who didn't shy away from fighting. It was only much later, when I read the translation of the Bhagavad Gita by Professor P. Lal after I grew up, that I started to understand the message of the Bhagavad Gita. When Arjun vacillates, Lord Krishna reprimands him for his failing courage and commands him to go ahead to fight evil for the sake of righteousness. Lord Krishna says, one should not grieve over those who should not be grieved for. The words of Krishna are words of profound wisdom. The message of Lord Krishna teaches us the art of living. The teachings, if practiced, give us peace of mind and true happiness. The core theme of the message of the Bhagavad Gita is the impermanence of the body. Lord Krishna says, the soul is never born, it does not die. Just as a man discards his used clothes and wears fresh ones, the soul casts off the worn-out body and gets into a new one. About the soul, Lord Krishna says, weapons cannot cut it, nor fire burn it. Water cannot wet it, nor the wind dry it. The soul is eternal and everlasting. Lord Krishna further says, for those who are born, death is certain. And for the death, rebirth is inevitable. The words of Lord Krishna to Arjuna are deeply philosophical words of profound wisdom, which help us all to tide over the vicissitudes of life. The Bhagavad Gita helps us to overcome grief caused by the loss of near and dear ones. In my own life, the Bhagavad Gita has helped me to accept the death of my father, to whom I was deeply attached, and later the death of my mother, my sister, and one of my closest college friends. The Bhagavad Gita teaches us to continue with life in spite of personal bereavements, in spite of ups and downs in life. We should not shirk from our duty, no matter how difficult the duty may be, no matter how difficult it may be for us to continue to perform the duty. Bhagavad Gita teaches us courage. It gives us the courage to do duty without getting carried away by success or dejected by failure. It teaches us to be calm and poised in pleasure and in pain. The Bhagavad Gita teaches us the importance of discipline and patience. The Bhagavad Gita is really an art of living. The Bhagavad Gita develops the qualities of fortitude, equanimity, detachment, poise, courage, discipline, the ability to work hard, the importance of detachment from objects of pleasure, objects which we see, which we touch, which we smell, which we taste, which we hear. These qualities give us happiness in every sphere of life. The teachings of the Bhagavad Gita are not just for ascetics and those who renounce the world. The teachings are for everyone, students, academics, professionals, homemakers, just like us, lawyers, and other employees. In the 5th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna asks Lord Krishna, which is better, Shankha Yoga, that is the yoga of knowledge, or Karma Yoga, that is the yoga of action? Lord Krishna says, both yoga of knowledge and yoga of action lead to supreme bliss, but yoga of action is easier to practice and superior to yoga of knowledge. Lord Krishna says, there is really no difference between Shankha Yoga and Karma Yoga. But without Karma Yoga, Shankha Yoga is difficult to accept. In India, 60% of the High Court judges are appointed from amongst lawyers. I was myself a lawyer for about 16 and a half years before I was appointed a judge of Calcutta High Court 20 years ago. The legal profession is a highly competitive profession. Junior lawyers, particularly the first generation lawyers, often have little work. To make a mark in the profession, they have to work extremely hard. The legal profession requires discipline, consistent hard work, time management, poise, and courtesy. There could be failures and reasons for frustration. There is often a rat race amongst lawyers to buy material things. Yet junior lawyers, first generation lawyers are very often not able to earn sufficient to meet their expenses, the necessary expenses. And they start feeling frustrated, feeling of dejection. Again, it may happen that a junior lawyer, a relatively unsuccessful lawyer, may be blamed for the outcome of a case which goes against the client, even though the lawyer may not really be responsible. Sometimes the lawyers may themselves feel that they may have lost out due to some fault of theirs. Does it really help to cry over spilt milk and waste time? No. The time has to be spent on accepting the adversity with equanimity and carrying on, working hard and striving to do better the next time. Similarly, judges have to decide the ancient treatises, particularly the Shukraniti, says a person who is proficient in civil and criminal law and procedure, happy-minded, impartial to both friends and foes, follower of righteousness, fair in speech and sober in behavior, may be appointed judge irrespective of his caste. What are the basic qualities of a judge? Judges have to be honest, truthful, ethical, impartial to all, be they friends, be they foes, be they the governed, be they those who govern. Judges must be knowledgeable. These are qualities which are necessary for a judge to discharge their duty. Judges, whether of courts of law or of tribunals, should remember the caution in the Shukraniti at the time of deciding cases. The Shukraniti warns that cases should not be the outcome of anger or greed, but should be based on righteousness. As per the treatise, judges have to be cautioned from 5 evils. They are attachment, temptation, fear, malice, and secret meeting. That is, talking to a party secretly behind the back of the other. All these are qualities which are advocated in the Bhagavad Gita. Hard work, selfless work, work that is dedicated to the Almighty, work without selfishness, work without desire, work without expectation, irrespective of the results. We are often praised, we are often criticized. Whether we are praised, whether we are criticized, we should not be carried away. We should not be dejected. We should just do our duty for the sake of doing our duty, leaving the fruits of our duty to the Almighty. In my personal life, I have faced problems. I have faced problems in my professional life, particularly in my junior days as a lawyer. And it was the teachings of the Bhagavad Gita which really helped me to carry on. I feel I have achieved what I have, all because of the teachings of the Bhagavad Gita.